She did not find out because of a lawyer. She did not find out because of a private investigator. She did not find out because she went looking. She found out because a collections agent called her cell phone on a Tuesday afternoon while she was choosing paint colors for a client's living room. The agent asked her how she intended to resolve the outstanding balance on her account ending in 7734. She told him she did not have an account ending in 7734. He read her own Social Security number back to her. Then he told her the balance, $243,000, past due. She sat down on the floor of her design studio in Denver, Colorado, and she stayed there for a long time. Because in the next 4 hours, she would discover that account ending in 7734 was not the only one. There were 46 others. Rebecca Ann Solano was 43 years old, and she had built her life carefully. She was the founder of Solano Interior Design in Denver, Colorado, 12 years in business, a client list that included 3 luxury hotel renovations, 2 restaurant groups, and more private residences than she could count without checking her files. She had met Victor Solano in 2005 at a charity auction in downtown Denver. He was a senior loan officer at Colorado First National Bank, measured, precise, the kind of man who never made a financial decision without running the numbers twice. She had found that quality deeply attractive. They married in 2007. Victor continued to rise at the bank, branch manager by 2010, regional operations director by 2014. Rebecca's design firm grew steadily alongside his career. From the outside, they looked like a partnership built on discipline and mutual respect. Victor handled all their personal finances. He had suggested this early in their marriage, and Rebecca had agreed. He was the banker. It made sense. She focused on her clients. He focused on the money. That division of responsibility had felt logical in 2007. By 2019, it had cost her everything she did not yet know she had lost. There were small moments she had chosen not to examine too closely, credit card offers that arrived addressed to her that she had never applied for. Victor always collected the mail first. A bank statement she once reached for that Victor had quietly redirected to his briefcase. A credit inquiry notification she had received by email in 2016 that Victor had explained away as a routine mortgage rate check. She had believed him. She had always believed him. But there were 47 accounts she had never believed in, because she had never known they existed. Victor James Solano was 48 years old, and he understood the American banking system the way a locksmith understands doors. He knew exactly which processes required in-person verification and which did not. He knew exactly which documentation thresholds triggered mandatory review and which fell below them. He knew which accounts could be opened with minimal identity verification if the application came through the right internal channel. He was that channel. Victor had not started this with a plan to destroy Rebecca. He had started it with a problem. In 2009, 2 years into their marriage, Victor had made a private investment that had failed completely. He had lost $312,000 of his own money in a real estate development outside Colorado Springs that collapsed during the financial crisis. He had never told Rebecca. Instead of absorbing the loss honestly, Victor opened the first account in Rebecca's name in March 2010. A single credit card, a $5,000 limit, just enough to cover a short-term gap he told himself he would close within 6 months. He never closed it. He opened another one in September 2010, then another in 2011. By 2015, the problem had become a system. And by 2019, the system had become a catastrophe that Victor had decided Rebecca would have to carry alone. He had filed for divorce in October 2019. He had been planning it since January. The collections call came on a Thursday in November 2019. By Friday morning, Rebecca had pulled her credit report for the first time in 11 years. What she saw on that report did not look like a financial document. It looked like a crime scene. 47 open credit accounts in her name, 14 personal loans, 6 lines of credit secured against her design studio's business address, 3 auto loans for vehicles she had never seen. Total outstanding debt in her name, $8.7 million. Her credit score, 389. She had not opened a single one of these accounts. Every signature on every application was hers. She had never signed any of them. Rebecca drove to the office of Patricia Ann Greenwald of Greenwald Family Law in Denver that same Friday afternoon. She brought her credit report. She brought 12 years of bank statements she had retrieved from their joint account online access. She brought the 3 credit inquiry notifications she had saved in her email without understanding their significance. Patricia Greenwald looked at the credit report for 4 minutes without speaking. Then she looked at Rebecca and said, "This is not a divorce case. This is also a federal crime. We need a forensic identity theft investigator, and we need the FBI Financial Crimes Division today." Rebecca sat across the desk and felt the particular silence of a person who has just understood that the life they believed they were living was never entirely real. Victor's reaction when served with divorce papers and a concurrent fraud investigation notice was immediate and revealing. He requested an emergency transfer to Colorado First National Bank's Phoenix branch. The request was denied. 2 days later, he submitted his resignation from the bank. His personnel file was immediately frozen by the bank's internal compliance department at the request of federal investigators. Inside that personnel file were 11 years of internal account approval records. Victor James Solano had personally approved or processed 31 of the 47 fraudulent accounts from within the bank's own systems. His employee access codes were on every single one. The case was heard before the Honorable Judge Frank Allen Mercer at the Denver District Court, Family Division, Courtroom 7 in Denver, Colorado. Docket number 2020 F00341. Proceedings began in March 2020. Patricia Greenwald built her case on one central argument that she stated in her opening with 12 words. He used his professional position to make her financially invisible. She presented the jury with a timeline spanning 11 years. Each account opened, each loan originated, each signature forged, every credit inquiry deflected, every action mapped to a date and a dollar amount. Victor's attorney, Douglas Haynes of Haynes & Crawford in Denver, argued that the accounts had been opened with Rebecca's knowledge and verbal consent as a joint financial strategy. He submitted a series of text messages between Victor and Rebecca discussing household finances as evidence of her general awareness. Patricia Greenwald dismantled this defense in 2 questions during cross-examination. She asked Victor on the stand if he could produce a single written authorization from Rebecca for any of the 47 accounts. He could not. She asked him to explain why 31 of those accounts had been processed through his own employee access codes at Colorado First National Bank rather than through standard customer application channels. He did not answer for 11 seconds. Judge Mercer noted the pause for the record. Then the most devastating moment of the trial arrived. Patricia Greenwald called Sandra Lee Cooper to the stand. Sandra Cooper was 54 years old. She had been a compliance officer at Colorado First National Bank for 16 years. She had reviewed Victor's account approval records during the internal investigation. She testified that in her 16 years in banking compliance, she had never seen an employee use their internal access credentials to originate personal loan accounts in a family member's name without documented consent authorization. She testified that Colorado First National Bank's own internal audit had flagged Victor's account activity in 2016, and that Victor had provided written assurances to the compliance department that all accounts had been opened with his spouse's full knowledge and consent. Patricia Greenwald then introduced Exhibit 58. It was the written assurance Victor had submitted to the bank's compliance department in 2016. In it, he had written under his professional signature, "All accounts referenced herein were established with the full informed consent of the account holder. I certify this as both the originating officer and as the account holder's spouse." He had certified his own fraud to his own employer in writing. Patricia Greenwald read it to the courtroom slowly. Then she set it down on the evidence table and said, "He lied to his bank. He lied to his wife. He lied to this court. The only document in this case that tells the truth is her credit report, and it tells you everything you need to know." Judge Frank Mercer looked at Victor Solano for a long moment. Douglas Haynes did not object. There was nothing left to object to. On April 28, 2020, Judge Frank Allen Mercer issued his ruling. He ordered the complete transfer of all 47 fraudulent accounts and their associated balances from Rebecca's name to Victor's name, effective immediately. He awarded Rebecca $4.2 million in damages, representing 11 years of financial harm, destroyed credit, lost business opportunities, and emotional distress. He awarded an additional $800,000 in legal fees and investigative costs. Total award, $5 million. The Colorado Attorney General's office filed criminal charges of identity theft, bank fraud, and fraud upon the court. Victor Solano pleaded guilty in September 2020 to 2 counts of identity theft and 1 count of bank fraud. He was sentenced to 7 years in the Colorado Department of Corrections. Colorado First National Bank permanently revoked his banking credentials. He is barred for life from working in any federally regulated financial institution in the United States. On the day the verdict was read, Rebecca Solano walked out of Denver District Court and stood on the courthouse steps in the April afternoon light. Her attorney stood beside her. Rebecca looked at the mountains on the horizon, the same mountains she had looked at every morning from the window of her design studio for 12 years. She said one thing, "I need to call my clients. I have work to do." For 11 years, she signed her name to her work every day. And for 11 years, he had been signing her name to his crimes every chance he got. Victor Solano thought the most powerful thing he possessed was his knowledge of the system. He was right. It just wasn't the system he thought. The system that mattered was the one that sat in Courtroom 7 in Denver, the one that subpoenaed his employee records, pulled his access codes, and read his own written certification back to him in front of a judge. Rebecca Solano did not get back 11 years of watching her name be used as a financial instrument by a man she had trusted completely. But she got back her name, and she went back to work. If someone you trusted completely had been using your identity for 11 years without your knowledge, what would have been the first thing you did when you found out? Tell us in the comments below. And subscribe to Divorce Diaries for a new divorce court drama story every single week. Because no matter how carefully someone borrows your name, the signature that matters most is always the one on the verdict.